Next, we'll be hearing for Vets for Peace, Will Williams of Madison. Vets for Peace have helped lead the peace movement and nurture our Iraqi veterans against the war, many who are not with us today because of the Winter Soldier hearings out in Washington. Will has been a leader in the counter-military recruitment efforts and a strong voice for peace. Let's welcome Will Williams, everybody.
You know, I like those words of everyone that have spoken here so far. But the words that Gwen said about educating the children is the one that touched me a lot. Because that is what needs to be educated in this country, not just the children. But I think the old people need to be educated against the myth that you have grown up believing in. Believing that this great country is a country that go out through the world bringing peace to people. That is a lie that has begun to being taught in the early years of childhood. Children must be educated to the truth of what America has done to people, not only in this country, but throughout the world. We must not believe that we go and we fight for freedom. I was hearing that same song sang when I was in Vietnam in 1966, that we were fighting for freedom. That is a lie. We were not fighting for freedom, and neither are we fighting for freedom in Iraq now. If you remember the words of Dr. King, when he said America was the greatest purveyor of violence in the world, we don't seem to listen to it, but it is true. Right now we have people not only fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, but we are supporting violence in Colombia. But we turn our heads to the truth. It was Eisenhower who spoke of the military-industrial complex, which was followed up by Dr. King and many others. But now we've sat and allowed our children to be hampered by the military because they have so much access in the schools, but yet we sit idle. In Chicago since 2003, 5 public schools have been closed because they didn't reach the level of No Child Left Behind. They were reopened as military academies. Public schools that were reopened as military academies. And now 3 of those schools does not reach the standard of No Child Left Behind, but they still function. So you have to ask the question, why? We talk about Bush a lot, but we got to go deeper in the bushes than just George Bush. Because the policies of this country, what has been the problem throughout the years, regardless of what party was in. It wasn't a Republican that was in when I was in Vietnam. Even though it's one in now, and we'll get a different party, hopefully. In November, it will not answer the questions that we need answered, or the actions will be taken unless the policies are changed that send us throughout the world, raging war upon people for no reason other than cheap labor or their resources. So don't fool yourselves into thinking that November the 4th will change things. We've still got to put pressure on whoever is elected to change the policies that oppresses people not only here but throughout the world. When you got a media that will rather talk about what Spitzer did or what Rev.Wright said in Chicago years ago in his sermon, in which I agree with what Rev.Wright said because I listened to it and he didn't tell any lies in it. When he said that this country was the only one that dropped nuclear weapons on people, it is the truth. When he said that this country killed people for no other reasons than to control or to steal our resources, it is the truth. When he said that Hillary Clinton had never woken up in the black neighborhood and been a black man, it is the truth. So we sit and we listen to the pundits all over these networks and get caught up in that morass of bullshit, because that's exactly what it is. It's no truth in it. So I say what we should do is focus on our young people. Focus on the children, because they are the ones who I believe will bring peace. We can walk until we die and holler for peace or impeachment, but it's the young people. If they know the truth, they'll do the right thing. If we don't allow them to be indoctrinated and brainwashed at a young age by the military recruiters in school, they'll do the right thing. You know, when they spoke of that military-industrial complex, I didn't think I would ever see the day when it would be consummated by a Pentagon. And that's exactly what happened in 2002 with the No Child Left Behind Act. The act that mandates that all data on young people as students be given to the military, be given to recruiters. That includes their income levels of their parents, their grades, and everything else. And this data is kept at a base in D.C., where they can go and pluck these young people because it's no more draft, as they call it. But you have to ask the question, why did the draft stop in 1973? It stopped because people realized that they were going and fighting and dying for lives, and they decided to do it no more. So they come up with this new term, the all-voluntary military, which is no more than a poverty draft. So when you think of how money is spent, wasted in Iraq and various other places, when you don't have money for schools or any other of the social programs that is much needed in this country, you have to ask the question, why do we continue to let it happen? You also should remember what King said when he said, sometimes silence is betrayal. So when you don't speak up against what the recruiters are doing in the schools to your young people, you are not only betraying yourself, but you are betraying your children, because you are not taking a position that you should take to protect them. So I say today, we have got a struggle ahead of us. We cannot continue to believe in this myth that we are in the greatest country in the world, that do all the good things for people throughout the world, when it's a myth, it's a lie. If we want peace, we have to fight for peace. And we can start today by leaving this place and contacting all the people you know, relatives, friends, and even those who are not so friendly, and ask them to open their eyes, read history, and ask the question, why do we always go to war, even though we have not been attacked here? Thank you.
Will Williams, Veterans for Peace. Woo!